Hey everyone, leader Dorset Spur back with another reaction video, and as you can tell, this one is not going to be good. It's so painful. It is so painful at this moment being a Tottenham fan. With all the hope and the expectation that you get from being a football fan, especially of this club, to go out of the Carabao Cup in this manner is soul destroying. Absolutely soul destroying. I'm lost for words, and that's unusual for me. I've usually got loads to say for myself, but I'm lost for words with this. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what we're gonna do going forward. I'm in despair. I'm in despair. I mean, let's try and think about it from a logical, non-emotional point of view. Number one, this is Liverpool. Number two, this is at Anfield. Number three, they are in the best form of their lives. And number four, they are progressing all the way, across every competition as it stands, pushing everyone aside, barely losing a game. So there's your starting point, right? If you add to that number five, the fact that we have a woeful record at Anfield, a woeful record of winning at Anfield. We only needed a draw, but a woeful record of winning there. You can kind of think to yourself, where was the positivity going into this game coming from? Where did we have that positivity? Because the reality is, it didn't matter who was going up there. Liverpool would likely beat everybody and anybody who turned up there. The biggest problem with all of this is the manner in which you lose the game. So again, trying to be not positive, but trying to be non-emotional. Everyone says at the beginning of all of this that Ange is naive. He plays this front foot open football that basically leaves you open to be destroyed. When you look at last night, he tried to play a very defensive-minded kind of setup. Bearing in mind the players he's got for him. Okay, so you're trying to play defensively up to extent, soak up as much pressure as you can, but hit on the break, try and get on the front foot when you can, and so on. Right. So you're trying to be a little bit more pragmatic. The wing backs are not bombing up the pitch as much as they have been, and so on. So you're trying to keep it compact. You're trying to keep it tight. You've got Sarr, Bentancur and Bissouma all on the pitch. 3 regular first team players, right? All of those have a defensive minded part to their game. They're not a kind of a Bergvall, or Maddison, like a kind of playmaker type. They are supposedly workhorses, hard-working, breaking up play, getting the ball forward to the front players and so on, right? So you've got those 3 solid in the middle, supposedly. And then you've got Kulusevski, who's been having a great season. You've got Richarlison up front, who's just coming back from injury, and you've got Son, who has been immense for us over the years. Probably the strongest team he could put out, to be honest. He brings in Danso, who's only just joined the team, couple of training sessions, so that's what he's got in it. And for the first sort of 30 minutes, we were soaking up that pressure, and you could tell that Liverpool were on it. They were on it. We had no opportunity to get ourselves forward. We had no opportunity to break their press. We had no opportunity to kind of create anything. But you're kind of thinking, well, let's get to 20 minutes, quieten the crowd down. Not that they needed much quietening down after they've sung their song. But after that, you're kind of then trying to manage the game and keep it going, keep it tight and look for opportunities. And of course, what happens then is a really, really sloppy mistake, which we see time and time again from Bissouma. And this isn't about bashing every specific player, but that's going to happen, right? Because you've got to look at their performances. Bissouma makes a sloppy pass, which he does so often, behind Sarr, who kind of turns as if to say, oh, it's gone behind me, makes no attempt to get back at it. The wide player, I think it was Son maybe, is caught between the two of them. Liverpool intercept and that. You get a great ball across, and we're sucked in the middle. And of course, the goal is well taken, absolutely well taken. And you're like, fuck. It's just what we didn't need. You know, we needed it to be as tight as really, really could be, and it wasn't to be. So then you're looking at this in a different way. It's all square. Here we go. We're gonna have to try even harder to get out and so on. So of course, you know, we then see Richardson, who's been running around like a man possessed, really not achieving an awful lot. Can't get on the ball, getting caught offside, all that kind of stuff. Really not happening for him at all. And then he pulls up with an injury, and you're like, and you can see his frustration. It must be soul destroying for him as a player to have gone through so many injuries and just not be able to show his worth, because he must have his own level of personal pride. People talk about, oh yeah, they're getting paid loads of money, they don't care. Of course they care. They don't, you know, it's about personal pride. It's about showing what you've got and what you bring to it. We all strive for that in our work environment. So it must be soul destroying for him. But to be fair, he wasn't bringing anything to this game anyway. Of course, then you bring on Tell. Again, only been with us a couple of days, couple of training sessions maybe. Hasn't played regular first team football. Needs to get up to scratch. Needs to know his teammates. Needs to know how we're working and all the rest of it. And he's thrown in there, and it's kind of like, you know, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one for him. But of course, you then caught out with the penalty. Again, another great ball by Salah, gets the player in, and keeper's got no choice, right? He's got to come out for that. He's got to close it down. If he gets the ball, brilliant. You know, wins the ball, brave, and all the rest of it. If he don't win the ball, then it's going to be a penalty. You know, you've got no choice, and so I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for coming. I think it was the right thing to do. Close it down, force an error, try and get to the ball, or whatever it is. And then, of course, 2-1, you're then in a whole new different ball game, right? Because you've now really got to push. And you look at the substitutions that Ange was able to make, and you look at the formation that he tried to change. You know, he pushed Spence out onto the right to give us something of an outlet there. You know, you're kind of moving all the players around to try to get it. And then you're putting an 18-year-old up against one of the best, you know, players in the Premier League in Mo Salah, who's proved himself time and time again, to really kind of keep that tight. And, you know, that's a big ask for the lad. You know, moving from right back to left back. I mean, he's so versatile and he works so hard. And that's why you can't always just complain about, you know, all of the team. Because there were some players in there that, in my view, did work and try to do what needed to be done, despite their limitations. You know, Archie Gray, you know, I thought had a decent game. Danso, first game for us, I thought he did okay. I thought he kind of, you saw him trying to get forward and clear the ball, you know, get the ball and just kind of try to take the pressure off and have a run forward and so on. So I don't want to dig him out too much. Ben Davies is another one who always tries his very best, puts his heart on the line, really gets in there, tries to do as much as he can with his limitations. Jed Spence, I can't talk highly enough of Jed Spence, whether he was on the left working hard against Salah or on the right making those runs and trying to get forward. You can't knock him for his effort. But there were just far too many players in that squad that just felt like they were ghosting. Bentancur I thought was poor. Sarr was poor. Bissouma was poor. And I'm not surprised with Bissouma. And I'm not totally surprised with Sarr, because one game he can be excellent and the next game he can just give you nothing. He got a great goal he scored after starting the move against Brentford. He absolutely gave us nothing on Thursday. And I'm like, where has that Sarr gone? And you have to call it out. It has to be said. Heung-min Son gave us nothing in that game. He was invisible. And I don't care how many people that upsets. I don't care how many subscribers I lose for it. You have to call it as you see it. And he was poor. He needed to come off. You better off to have had Mikey Moore playing there. Because for me, these youngsters that are getting thrown in, they're playing without fear. They're doing as much as they can. And I'd rather lose with players doing as much as they can to players kind of ghosting around in it and just not really getting it. Now, and I know a lot of that is down to Liverpool. A lot of that was down to Liverpool. Let's be clear. Liverpool were excellent last night. I thought that their pressing was great. Their passing was excellent. Their movement off the ball, with and without the ball, they were just all over it. Kulusevski is another one. I love Kulu. I think he's a brilliant player. He's been one of our best players. It's pointless having him out on the right. It's absolutely pointless, because it feels like he plays there and he doesn't want to be there. And it feels like you're not getting any effort from him, because every time he got the ball, he either turned back or was muscled off it. And generally speaking, he had 2 or 3 players around him because they recognise how difficult a player he can be. But he's getting nowhere, so he has to change his tack and stop doing the same thing time and time again. And if he needs to do that, he needs someone running off him so he can play the 1-2 and get out of there and get on and move, give some movement. Because it was just appalling. I mean, we had no shots on target. We didn't bother the keeper at all. We didn't even really get into the final third, to be honest with you. And like I say, a lot of that is down to Liverpool's performance. I thought Liverpool were excellent, but you may as well have had your youngsters in there, your Lucas Bergvall, your Archie, your Mikey Moore. You might as well put those players in there and give them a run out, because these so-called first teamers are just not doing it, in my view. And that's really, really, really disappointing. It's the manner of the loss that really kills you. This has been a really difficult one, right? So we had a difficult tie, a built banana skin against Coventry, where we left it really late to get to the end, to get the win in that game, but we got it. Then we get Man City, and I did a video straight after and said, of course it's going to be Man City. Of course it is. We get the first time we get a decent opportunity and get through the first round, we end up with Man City. So we go and beat Man City, and of course then it comes to Man United. You're like, fuck's sake! Now Man United, will we ever get a break in this? So we get Man United and we beat Man United, and you think, wow, this is going our way. Then we get Liverpool, and you're like, what the footballing gods are against us all the time. So you get Liverpool, and then you turn up and you beat Liverpool at home, albeit 1-0. But you think to yourself, you start to think to yourself, is this our year? Is this our opportunity? Your hope goes up and so on. But of course, then you've got to go to Anfield, and this is what happens. And like I say, I think even if we put all of our first team, our best 11 out there, I still think we lose that game. But that all comes back to the fact of the lack of the lack of investment that the team and the squad and all that have had over the years. And we've spent money, but it's just not working. Like, it's just because of all that negligence so far back that you're basically building from the bottom up. So I don't subscribe to the fact that a lot of the narrative that's out there around Ange Postecoglou. I don't think Ange Postecoglou is naive. I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's unable to change his tactics. I don't think any of that. Because I think he's shown us that he can change his tactics. He can try different things. He does do other stuff. So he has a footballing brain. He's been around it for long. And I like it. People can go, oh, it was only Scotland. Oh, it was only Australia. Oh, it was only Japan. But all of those leagues have their limitations. You're working with worse players in those leagues against worse players, but they're all on that level, right? So it's all about levels. But what you can do in a game and what you can influence is limited, right? So he makes the changes, he brings players on. But when you look at the bench of players that he can bring on, and you look at the bench of players that Liverpool were able to bring on, it's chalk and cheese. It's absolute chalk and cheese. With all these players out injured, that has to play a part. I get it. But I don't believe it's Ange Postecoglou who's causing all the injuries. I think part of the injury issue is the fact that we are unable to rotate because we've got injuries. And we are supposedly playing this high press. I haven't seen a high press for a long time. So what's the excuse now? If we're not playing the high press and we're not doing all the training that everyone claimed was the problem, if we're not doing any of that, what's the cause now? There's got to be something else. So I'm sorry, I don't just subscribe to all that. And you can be Ange in and Ange out as much as you like. Ultimately, I'm just struggling to think of who are you going to bring in that's going to do any different, do any better. Are they going to bring those players back quicker? Are they going to be able to change the youth players to be better players? Are you going to make them? They're going to make them older and more experienced? Are they going to rotate? Are they going to be able to rotate them more? What out tactics are you going to get that's going to change anything? Because we are trying to be more pragmatic. We are not bombing up the pitch and playing this massively open style. Because we're trying to get the win. We showed that at Brentford. We did that. We soaked up all their pressure. We cleared all their crosses and so on. But when you're playing Liverpool, that's not always going to be possible. And and we saw that. So you can get who you want. And like I say, I'm not advocating for Ange. I'm not saying that Ange should stay or Ange should go. I just want to know who is there going to be that's going to excite me and make me think, yes, now that makes a change. That's what's going to do the difference. I really thought when we brought in Mourinho, proven winner, that's going to make the difference. It didn't. You then think, okay, Conte. Well, Conte's a proven winner, and he does. Did it prove anything? No, because neither of them wanted to be there. They both thought they were better than the club, and I don't want someone who thinks they're better than the club. I want someone who wants to be at the club, that wants to succeed with the club, that's got the footballing nous and the footballing abilities that are gonna gel the squad, make the players want to come to Tottenham and want them to play decent football that's going to help us compete in the longer term. But I also want my owner to back that manager with the right sort of players. And I'm not against the data-driven approach. Data gives you an awful lot. You've got to have the right sort of players. We've gone out lots of times and bought players that people go, oh, this is the next best thing, and they've turned out to be shit. And I'm just not into that. I'm just not up for it. I'm just, I want there to be some kind of logic to what you're trying to do. So you look at the transfer window. We brought in a goalkeeper. We needed a goalkeeper. We knew we needed a goalkeeper. He's 21 years of age, and to be fair, I don't think he's done particularly badly. People going, oh, he's having a nightmare, and I'm worried about him every time he kicks the ball and that. I don't think any goalkeeper kicking the ball is always going to give you failure, you know. But that's the way football is. That's the way football plays these days. Liverpool were playing high up the pitch, right? They were playing high up the pitch. We just couldn't get the ball off them to get beyond them. And that's what you're aiming for. That's the sort of football that Ange is trying to instill and trying to get. He's trying to get us up the pitch, high press, high pressure, and all the rest of it. But the players are just not good enough to do it, or experienced enough, or rotated enough to be able to put in place what you want. So who are you gonna bring that with? Please don't come to me with Bournemouth are in the same position, because Bournemouth ain't in the same position. Bournemouth's players that are injured are not all their starting players. The manager there has had one half of a decent season. Same as Thomas Frank. Everyone's going, oh, Thomas Frank could do a better job. Maybe. But when you talk about, you buy players from Brentford and from Bournemouth and Burnley, that's the sort of level you're going to get. But you're happy to take a manager from those levels. You're happy to take a manager from those levels just because they've had one decent season or half a decent season. That's not where. If you want to be challenging the elite, and by the elite you're talking about Liverpool, you're talking about Man City, those kind of teams, Arsenal, Chelsea, teams that are spending big, have that spending power, and so on, and have elite managers. You need an elite manager. Me personally, before Ange came in, I did a video. You can go back, you can look, about Arne Slot, because I have a friend who's a Feyenoord fan, and he told me that he is absolutely brilliant. Works within a budget, works with younger players, good expansive football. So I knew about him before he went to Liverpool. He didn't turn us down because he didn't want to come to Tottenham. He turned us down because he wanted to finish what he started at Feyenoord, right? So the idea that he turned us down because he didn't want to be there is not absolutely correct. But that's the footballing gods, right? It wasn't so long ago everyone was talking about how good Amorim is. Look what's happening there. Ten Hag, look at what's happening there. Thomas Tuchel, look what's happening there. He's been replaced by a bloke who took Burnley down, right? So you have to be careful. You have to be careful what you wish for, in my opinion. I just find it really difficult to get excited about Thomas Frank or Iriola at Bournemouth to come in and do something different that Ange Postecoglou can't do. And like I say, I'm not advocating one way or the other for Ange or for anybody else. Ange in, Ange out. At this point, I actually don't care who the manager is. I just want to see the football improve. I want to see the players come back from injury. I want to see us get some consistency. I want us to see us be able to rotate. I want us to see us bring in some of these young players to give them their opportunity to really shine in the way that some of those players have done. But I think it's going to be difficult. And I think ultimately Ange will pay the price. If we lose against Villa, Ange will pay the price because the board will go, this is unacceptable. We've backed you. We've bought you loads of players. You're still not performing, so we're going to get rid of you. And we'll start another project, and it gives us another 18 months for it all calm down, because you'll have a bit of a managerial bounce maybe, if you're lucky, which we didn't get under Nuno. And look how good he's been so far at Forest. So you're going to get a bit of a managerial bounce maybe, if you're lucky. And we go again. We're another 18 months down the road. We'll still be having this same conversation. I'll be making this same bloody video. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just so frustrated and stressed out and fed up with it all. It's just one of those, and I just find it really, really difficult at this moment in time. So we've had the transfer window as well. So I'll have to comment on that. You bring in Kingsley. We knew that we needed a goalkeeper, and I think that was the right move, and he seemed decent. Kevin Danso comes in because we need a defensive centre back. Don't know how good he is. Thought he did okay. Didn't think he had a bad game. Time will tell how he's going to pan out. But good to add that in, especially as we still haven't seen Van der Ven come back, and we still haven't seen Romero come back. And even if they do come back, are they going to be fit? Are they going to be good enough? And Ange has already said he's trying to take as clinical approach as he can to bringing these players back. How frustrating must it be for a manager to have these quality players sat on the sidelines that you can't bring in through fear of them not being any good? So that kind of still scuppers the argument that he's rushing them back. Ange's rushing the players back, and this is what's happened. It's just a narrative to get this one person, in that situation. And I just don't subscribe to it. I'm sorry, I don't. And I say this may come across as me trying to protect Ange. I'm not. I'm not trying to protect Ange. This could be any manager. We could be talking about any manager. If you've got this level of injury, I don't believe it's the tactics or the training that's causing it. I don't. You had this guy under Conte who used to run the players ragged when they were over in the Far East somewhere, for being physically sick because they were run so hard. But you're telling me that Ange Postecoglou's training methods are breaking all the players? Not to this level. There may be some of that in that, but it's not the whole problem. It's not the whole reason. I just don't get it. I just don't see it. So I'm yet to be convinced of that. And just remember, this is just my opinion, right? This is my opinion. This isn't your opinion. This is not me telling you to have this opinion, or I'm not asking you to agree with me. I don't care whether you agree with me or you don't agree with me. You can have your own opinion on this, and that's absolutely fine. It must be really, really, really frustrating. And then, of course, we've then brought in Matisse Tell. Everyone's really excited about this kid. All the Man United fans and the Arsenal fans and the Chelsea fans can't believe that he's come to us and all the rest of it. But let's see whether he can actually contribute to the team, whether he can do something, whether he's going to grow in it. He needs to get his match fitness. He needs to get into the squad and understand how it works and all the rest of it. But given that we are so short at centre forward now, I think he's going to get plenty to play. Me personally, I'd have liked to have had him come in and be able to pick up that right wing position to give Kulu the opportunity to come inside, because I think he's just far more effective on the inside than he is on the outside like that. And when Ange changed it, I have to say I wasn't against that, but I did think that it was probably the wrong way round. Would work in another game, but in this game I felt we really needed Spence to be on that left-hand side because Salah was on fire. So you really needed him to be there. I'd have moved Archie Gray to the right and I'd have pushed Porro up. I'd have put Porro up and then moved Kulu onto the inside. And all three, Sarr, Bentancur and Bissouma, they might as well have not been there. Son as well. So for Son, I'd have gone for Mikey Moore. And in the centre there, I'd have definitely gone with I'd definitely had Kulu in there and Bergvall in there, with probably Bentancur, who's probably the best of the three in that centre, because it looked to me like it wasn't working at all. Those guys that I've just mentioned just were not on it, and Kulu, again, I think let us down in that game. I don't think he was good enough in the game either. So for me, a lot of questions, a lot of issues there in terms of attitude, effort, consistency, fitness, desire. There's just too many. There's just too many to ask, and it's just frustrating, disappointing, annoying, and soul destroying. I feel for the guys that drove all the way up there, not getting home till God knows what time in the morning. I know a guy who I've known for a while. He got home at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? Thursday night to go out there and not even see your team register a shot on target is just not good enough. Not good enough at all. So yeah, so there's my rant, there's my moan, there's my review. I don't know where we go from here. I really don't know where we go from here. These players need to get themselves back from injury as quick as you like. And I know it's already come out. I've seen it in the app that Richarlison is now out and there's not expecting any players back. So going into Aston Villa is going to be a very difficult one, isn't it? Very difficult one if you're going in with what you got. But from my point of view, I think you might as well change it up. You might as well get that young lad AJ in there. You might as well get Scarlett up front. Get Tell out maybe to the right, so Kulu can come in the middle. Get Mikey Moore on the left, or Tell on the left and Mikey Moore on the right. I think he's more effective on the left personally, but I think if Tell plays more left sided, then kind of make sure from that point of view. But some of these players probably need a break. They probably need taking out of the team. Go with the youngsters and see what they can do, because at this point I don't think there's anything to lose. I really don't. I think Ange is on the edge. Lose to Villa, I think he's probably gone. And then we've got Ryan Mason till the end of the season, and we know how that kind of turns out. So fingers crossed we don't get relegated, eh? That's all we can kind of look forward to now. That's what it feels like. I know the Europa's still on, but I really worry about where we go if you lose a manager and now, unless you've got someone really good lined up to come in, someone that's going to inspire and really give you something. And I just don't see it. Maybe it's just me being a miserable twat. I don't know. But anyway, listen, you've listened to me rant and rave and moan for long enough. 30 minutes, probably one of the longest videos I've done just on my own talking. If you've got this far, kudos to you. Thank you very much for sticking with it and watching it till the end. I'll be back on Sunday, I guess. Well, we'll put out a video for the score predictions from the Dorset Spurs boys, because I like to hear what those guys have got to say. Let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with those guys. I'll be back after the game against Villa with another reaction video on there, and of course on Tuesday we'll be doing the live show of Shooting the Shit. If you haven't seen that, please come along, get in the chat, talk to us, let us know how you're feeling. It'll be good to have you there. But anyway, as I say, thanks for watching. Really appreciate the support, guys, and as always, up the Spurs.